I'm told bassist Lou Barlow has one of the most unique approaches to the instrument of all time. And thanks to one of our patrons, I'm going to be hearing Dinosaur Jr. for the very first time today. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Today I'm going to be hearing the track The Lung for the very first time, which is from the band's second studio album, You're Living All Over Me, released in 1987. And this is a live version from KEXP, a fantastic YouTube channel who I've seen some videos from. And I'm reading that this album is hailed as a classic of the indie and alternative rock scenes, but I have no idea what to expect. I've never heard of this band before, so let's get straight into it. The Lung by Dinosaur Jr. KEXP. It's a fantastic channel. Go subscribe to them.
It's pretty good.
And subscribe to me too. Okay. I've never seen anyone play bass like that. I can't recall. Wow. Kind of go on F. Okay, it kind of sounds like we're in C major-ish. Whoa. This is very interesting. Like I said a second ago, I don't think I've seen anyone play bass quite like that. I remember when I first started playing bass many years ago, and a friend was like, "Can you play chords on that thing?" And I was like an acoustic guitar? I was like, "Nah, I don't think so." And I've later learned you can. But this guy is like playing it like an acoustic guitar. He's even strumming way up here on the neck. You know, no regard for being over the pickups. Because you get a different sound up here. You get a little more of a fuller, rounder sound. You know, you can just kind of hear the difference. So he's using that in tandem with a pick and just getting this really full-bodied sound, which I guess they're just a trio. I haven't seen a fourth person, but I'm kind of dialed into the music, closing my eyes, trying to hear and make sense of what's going on. Sounds like they're going for this really big singularity, just wall of sound type thing. There's no treble and bass part, harmonically speaking. They are just in the same sound in two different ranges, if that makes sense. And I thought it was really interesting right here around the 1 minute mark. It's like the guitar stopped playing rhythm in terms of just having more, I guess, syncopation, groove, strumming. And he kind of went into this more picked open chord thing. And it's like the bass just took the nod and went right in and got even more active. Interesting. I'm going to go back a bit. Just 10 seconds to get into this part we just started. Look at that. He's picking up on like fret 7. I mean, I think I've seen this before. I'm stumped. See, the guitar part kind of slowed down a bit there. Bass is keeping it going. Digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga. Wow. You know, what's interesting is that it almost sounds like they're playing the same part, but if you really close your eyes and listen, they're actually changing a lot. And it's like, it's so smoothly done. It's almost like it's one person. Like they're so in tune with, I don't even know what to call this, a riff or a chord progression or both, but I can kind of hear, if you just like quit watching and you kind of listen, you can hear the guitar part will start playing something and then just like leave out a bit of it and the bass will come in and just kind of grab it. And it's just perfectly homogeneous. There's no, where does the guitar end and where does the bass start? I've quite never heard something like this. It's kind of noisy. It's loud. I'm actually seeing how many Marshalls are in the room. And I think the last time I saw a KEXP video was when I did a reaction to King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. And I remember thinking, that's a pretty cozy room. So I imagine it's loud as hell in there, but let's keep going. Drummer's on point. There he goes again. Role reversal, just so smooth. It's like a perfectly smooth baton handoff. The guitar stopped, and actually he's tuning. I don't know if the tremolo maybe kicked him out of tune. Didn't miss a beat, but that's just a real live performance thing happening there. But as soon as the guitar dropped out, I mean, that's 50% of the harmonic content happening. And the bass sound is just so full that it didn't even feel like anything dropped out. Yes, you could, of course, hear that timbre of the guitar being gone, but that is such a full, driven, gritty bass tone. I almost feel like, I think my tone's too sweet and pleasant. Let's see if I got something here. This is actually the tone I used for my Protest the Hero cover on a different bass, but I don't know if it's appropriate, but it just fills out that space, and it's like they are both, again, going for this homogeneous singularity type of approach in the riffs, the way they kind of coalesce, and the way they can still act independently of one another. Because again, when he started singing, I could hear the bass go up like 2 octaves. He's up here now. So you can kind of hear. Let me go back to where he drops right out, because I thought that was a very interesting just handoff to the guitar's not here anymore. Take it where you want. You're the only harmonic thing happening right now aside the vocals. Way up there, look at that. Same thing, he starts playing the guitar solo, bassist goes back down into bass territory. And still going high though. This is like head scratching. Like the little walk down he does. Yeah, I think my tone's getting worse. And he is just all over the place there. Definitely hitting some of those low power chords. I mean, that's such a thick tone. I mean, my tone isn't, it's a little more crispy than his. I'm just kicking on preset. But when you play bass power chords down in the range he is, you've got a little saturation to kind of glue the notes together and make them a little less separated. I mean, that's a... And, you know, they're cutting in and out of his camera shot quick. I see that he's like actually picking some individual notes. And I'm led to believe that he's kind of doing like he's kind of letting these D and G strings maybe ring out a bit while he's kind of going like, I mean, really just playing it exactly like a guitar, but you're just getting the bonus of that gritty dissonance that just comes with playing multiple notes in this octave. Like, it's just down to physics. Like, you could never really achieve that with the guitar just due to the nature and the pitch of the sound. I think he's tapping into what that creates. It's like a visceral kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, the guitar just drops out there. And again, like I said, you can hear literally that it dropped out, but it didn't lose any of the momentum. The soundscape they've created, this really noisy wash of like, we're all on the same chord, but we're kind of playing it differently. It almost reminds me of like Slash and Izzy, Guns N' Roses, like oftentimes on Appetite for Destruction. They weren't playing the same exact part. They were playing like an amalgamation of a riff, but kind of like A, B. They all played it in their different way. And not to get on that topic, but I think it's why those riffs sounded bigger than they really were. And I can kind of see there and just hear, again, I have perfect pitch, so I can kind of hear what's going on in there. It's very distorted, but I hear them just hitting some of the same chords, the same notes, but in different voicings. And it really, in essence, makes one chord, but just a bigger chord, because their sounds and their tones are kind of similar and complementary. And honestly, they're sticking to that same kind of 3-chord progression, G, D, and C. Really interesting. Just interesting composition. We went up to A. Key change? Yeah, we went up kind of a whole step there from G to kind of A now. So much energy. You know, it's really effective when you kind of get your ear used to it, a certain key in a song. You know, my ear's gotten really used to that G sound, G, D, and C. Now, when you take it up a whole step, it just elevates the energy. Classic thing done in all genres, all styles, but it was really smoothly done here. I didn't expect it. I kind of expected them to vamp on that same chord progression, because I thought the free-flowing nature of just that one chord progression throughout the whole song is kind of the play here. It went up a half step. We're getting toward the end. And one thing I want to comment on, I noticed that, I don't know if I can go back and find an exact shot. Maybe I can't. I don't want to waste too much time. Instead of choosing these closer to the note options, like A here, frets 5 and 7, he's playing them down here. You can kind of hear just the innate tone difference there. You know, instead of going, you get this really fat kind of metallic tone. And that's interesting. Instead of keeping in one position, he chooses to go higher this way and go for the tone that those notes way down here give you on the lower strings, just fatter, fuller, instead of getting them up here where they might be more efficient. Economy of motion, if you will, just to kind of stay in one position, but he's sliding around because the tone on each string is going to be more consistent. You know, a G here, you know, if you play that up here, it just doesn't sound the same, but you can kind of keep that homogeneous tone. I find that interesting, and that's very intentional, I think, because he gets that fat tone, which is something I think you would go for in a power trio setting, just bass and guitar. That's the only harmonic things happening instrumentally. So you need anything you can to fill up that space, especially when the guitar cuts out and he starts singing. You go up here, you get that those fatter sounds. Fills out the composition when it's really just bass and vocals and drums by itself. Let's finish this out. That was a nice flat 6, flat 7, major 1 there. Check that out. Kind of like the Mario ending. That progression sticks out like a sore thumb to me now. Flat 6, flat 7, back to the 1, the new 1 in A. Very cool. Most interesting thing I've seen in a long time. This might be the biggest kind of left turn for bands I've been reviewing, and this is labeled indie alternative rock. Wikipedia just said an American rock band. This is a unique take on just letting tones and how they actually affect the vibe of the composition. You know, it's like intentionally noisy. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that it's about getting bigger with little. Just bass and guitar can sound that big, that loud. Of course, a lot of amps in the rooms. They're playing the heck out of the instruments, especially Lou Barlow, just playing a Rickenbacker like an acoustic guitar. That's a first for me. But I love the intentional artistic choices happening where they, as two people, you know, if you just play bass and guitar by itself, same riff, most tones, it would sound kind of thin. And the way they've actually constructed the singularity of them both playing something similar, but just a little bit different. Like I said earlier, maybe the same chord, but just played a little differently. It actually makes just one larger chord, and you get this really big wall of sound. You add that bass fuzz, the overdrive, the really pingy guitar sounds. You make a bigger sound. It's like the sum of the parts type thing. Just a really interesting artistic way to approach riffs. And I think it was all intentional because he specifically chose to go up where you don't normally play notes like that, way up here. You kind of want to do that down here, just because of ease of access. So I think that was an artistic choice to get the fattest, dirtiest, biggest sound possible to make your three-piece sound as big as they were and as loud as they were. This was very interesting. Thank you to Christopher over on Patreon for recommending this band. All the information I had was basically that Lou Barlow had a unique approach to bass, and I couldn't agree more. Like, again, I've not seen something like this. So come join us on Patreon. If you want to see more exclusive content, I got a lot of lessons, licks, tracks, all kind of stuff over there. But thank you guys here on YouTube for watching. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so much. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see next. I'm very curious to hear more of this band, just because I just need something to reference it to. I'm very curious about what their whole picture and overall sound might be. So thanks again. I love you all. Cheers. We'll see you next time.